I'll be honest, the quote, "the day someone called me a witch was the best day of my life," couldn't be more real. Hello elements, welcome to another video. So this video is long overdue, but who said I was on a time limit? So after my birthday and drawing a few art pieces and speed draws, I decided this was the one I'd go with for this story time. Beta Mina will come out maybe when I find a decent story to put over it. I don't really know what story I'm gonna put. This story is based on the picture in the backdrop. It's literally called Curse or Coincidence. This was before I was a witch, and I'm gonna say it now, I am an apprentice in the craft, so I am fairly new. I started in March, so that said, I refuse to say that this is a part of the craft in which I reside, because I will say it now. I was not pagan back then, neither did I think I was a witch, but I was heavily fond of its culture and practice. I was in Miss Bailey's class. This, I believe, was the second time I had her class because the school thought I did so well in her class in 10th grade they gave me the same darn teacher no one likes twice. Because her teachings were so strict, this caused the kids to get rude and sneaky. The worst part isn't the class as a whole. It's when you have no choice but to be sat next to the worst one. And with my luck, you know, I just so happened to be sitting next to the worst person. Since we were sat desk to desk, I was close to the front of the class with the most troubled students that the teacher would want to keep an eye on. Normally, I would be the early bird, quiet, B+ student in the class, but the person next to me, not even 1 full feet away from a shoulder bump. This girl would arrive late, put her books on my desk, just cross her legs into my desk space from under the table. She had a low or high C, I don't know. She would cut up and talk loud with her friends, and when there's a seat project that we have to do as a team, she doesn't even do her part and I end up having to haul. I dealt with this for almost a school week. Usually I don't put up with these kinds of people, but since the teacher is the one exception out of the two that I cannot be a teacher's pet to, asking to be moved wasn't an option because it would be classified as telling her what to do. I was practically cornered, and after that class period, I would go to my last class of the day and tell my acquaintances at the time about my bad experience with this one chick who sat next to me. Really, she made me want to, you know, everything that I said in the past, times that by 2, and plus she tried to sneak food into the class. Out of all the things that I would want to say were hidden in the catacombs of my mind, so I was basically thinking like a bad mantra. But it was along the lines of, cast her away, I hate her, as I said in my head. I repeated this about like 9 times throughout the class period. Then after that class, I again went to my 4th period and told my acquaintances anything but what I was thinking about. After class, I went home, and for some reason, I couldn't sleep. And usually when I can't sleep, I've known that I've either done something completely wrong, or I've done something that I regret and I have to remember before I actually have to get to sleep, because the human mind makes you remember everything before you have to go to bed, because the human mind never lets you forget all the things that you regret during the day. And that night, I kid you not, I could only remember all the crap I said about that girl in my head. And I was like, okay, take it back. I didn't want to say all that, I was just upset, and you know, I don't think anyone deserves harm unless they intentionally mean to harm someone, but this is just her being herself. I really just decided, nah, let me not think about the worst, and maybe tomorrow I'll just talk to her about how uncomforting it is for her to infiltrate my space. Use my words, you know? So, next day, I go through school as usual, and when I got into the 3rd period class, she's not there yet, per usual. So I wait, and about 20 minutes into the class, the door's closed. She's not there, and I'm like, oh, crisis averted. I put my stuff on her desk and finished my work, put my feet under that side of the desk, and all that class period, I didn't care, because, like, life was good. Next period, told the story to the acquaintances, then, as norm, I went home. The next day, I come into school, same routine, you know? Until 3rd period came, again. Now, as expected, she's always late, but this time, no, she's not. She's in class. She doesn't have her stuff on my desk, her feet were under her own desk, and she was silent. But, the reason for that was because one of those legs that was under her desk, she had this bandage, like one of those long bandages on her leg and left arm. Her chin had this patch, and her forehead had a bigger patch that was like pink, like as if she got into some fight or something. But that couldn't be it. If you got into a fight at school, that's 1 week of in-school suspension and a week of out-of-school suspension and a court case. So when Miss Bailey spoke saying, "Oh, why didn't you show up to class yesterday? You know that's an unexcused absence," she simply replied, "Well, while my mom was driving out of the complex, some pregnant lady swerved into my mom's car, and we got into a crash, so actually it is an excuse." Absolute silence. Like, I didn't know if this was a curse or a coincidence. I didn't know if this was a curse or a coincidence, but her habits from then on out were either little to none. Like, she never did what she did again. So after that, it was like a month in, and she did her work, kept her stuff to herself, and the class got changed around to where I was sitting in the middle of the class next to an empty desk. So, yeah, nothing else after that. What do you think? Comment down below. Curse or coincidence? Thank you for staying till the end. Now get lost. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Azuka Midoriya, the baddest bitch in the ballroom.